Welcome to Triple H, Hamilton Happy Hour, where we talk about pianos, talk about music, and everything else in between. Hey everybody, welcome back to Hamilton Happy Hour, Triple H. We have a couple of guests with us tonight that we're very excited to bring onto our podcast. First, I would like to invite Robert Koenig, who is a Yamaha concert pianist and also is the artistic director for Palm Springs International Piano Competition. Welcome.
Hello. I'm so
Robert.
happy to be here. You know, it's not often that I get a chance to sit and geek out on everything piano. So it's so fun. This place, Hamilton Piano Company, unbelievable.
Thank you.
I'm a kid in a candy store, and I could spend hours in here. I could spend days in here.
Oh, you're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
And we have Jill Arbetter from a violinist.
Yes.
Also,
Guilty.
We allowed the violinists to join all of us piano geeks, right?
It's okay.
Violins have strings just like pianos.
That is correct. That is correct. And so how we met was through Hayden, because Hayden used to move all of your pianos.
That is correct.
And so that's how we got connected. And you have your nonprofit that you do.
Yes. Yep.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So I run the Elevar Foundation, which is the home to the Elmar Oliveira International Violin Competition, the Joseph Gingold Chamber Music Festival, which happens every summer at Lynn Conservatory now. And also we have a program called Elevate 360, which is bringing music to places and people that ordinarily wouldn't have access to music. And some of those places include the Alzheimer's community care centers. And one of the things that I love most about being here and being with Hamilton Piano Company people is that you guys have really been helping us with our program getting pianos into these Alzheimer's community care centers. So we have now 2 pianos in one in the Boca Raton Center and one in the West Palm Beach Center. And tomorrow, Bob is going to be playing one with violinist Nick Tavani at the West Palm Beach Center at 11 a.m. and then 1 o'clock with Andres Cardenas at the Boca Raton Center. And we're just always so grateful and thankful for all you guys do. It's amazing.
Well, that's what we're here for. We always want to cooperate in any way that we can, whether it's with a fellow technician or a fellow musician. You know, it doesn't matter. You know.
Right.
And we had one here, a Yamaha technician prepping for an artist for next week's concert, and which was a thrill for you because Shinyab was here and you got to see him because you're a Yamaha artist. So
yeah,
that was
it's so
like,
funny. It's just such a small world, as we all know. The music world is so small. And when I first came into the store and I saw Shinya, I was like, why do I know this person? And I had met him in New York at the Yamaha.
Oh, okay.
At the showroom there.
Just once before you had met him? Or?
Just once.
Yeah, okay.
But yet I recognized him right away, and we were like, how do we know each other? And here he was. So incredible.
Probably has
That's
something
cool.
to do with the piano.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then next week you guys are flying to Palm Springs for the
Yes.
competition.
No, we're just doing some competition prep.
Okay.
We're having some meetings and figuring out the pianos, the difficulty of getting the pianos moved from Los Angeles to Palm Springs, and then also making sure we have a piano because the preliminary rounds are in Palm Springs at a Temple Isaiah, and then the finals will be at the McCallum Theater in Palm Desert. So we have to make sure that's all coordinated.
So just not to confuse people here, Jill is not only the executive director here at Elevar, but she has very graciously agreed to come on board with me in Palm Springs, where I'm the artistic director of the Palm Springs International Piano Competition. And, you know, I got in touch with Jill. There's nobody better in the business. She knows everything there is to be, in charge of running an international piano competition. So we're going to fly to Palm Springs on Sunday, and we're going to have a work week there. And the actual competition is going to be held from April 11th until 21st.
Okay.
Coming up. It's a 10-day big event. We had a pre-screen for our applicants. We had nearly 100 applicants from all over the world.
Wow. 10 countries.
10 countries.
Yeah.
This, it includes China and Hong Kong and Thailand, Australia, the Ukraine. We had somebody from the Ukraine. Here in the U.S., of course, and Canada, and I think and Japan. as well.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And,
So,
and I'm just going to interject that this is actually the junior competition, which is ages 13 to 17. Oh, wow. So we're looking at some really incredible talent.
so it's going to be quite the event.
And it's refreshing when you say 13 to 17. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, there's a lot of times that people say, oh, the piano world is dying. No, it's not.
No.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say it's as strong as it used to be, but it's still there.
Right.
I've said it before where I think it's the talent shows that help bring that out, where you see American Idol or The Voice or something like that. And when they're on stage playing a piano, and as a kid, they grow up, they're like, I want to, learn how to play. I want to be like that.
Right.
And that's what kind of helped boost the piano world up again, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right.
When-
And just to see the talent that is these kids are bringing, and to be able to bring them to Palm Springs, and they'll be traveling with one of their parents, of course, because these are underage kids, but for them to have that experience and be part of our community, and all of our competitors will be housed in private homes in the Palm Springs area, so they get to have a real California experience.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
nice.
awesome.
And then next year, you're doing a competition here.
Yes. Next year will be the fourth rendition of the Elmar Oliveira International Violin Competition, which is a triennial competition. The finals will be on January 18th, 2026 at Lynn University at the Wold. We bring in 4 pianists, and they will be working with our 20 the first round. All of the information is online. I can share the web link. I don't know if that's possible to do. Yeah. And if anyone's in the area, if they want tickets, they want to come. There's only tickets needed for the finals, but all the other rounds are free and open to the public. It's at the Amarnik Goldstein Hall at Lynn Conservatory. And yeah, it's a really fun time. We have many competitors that come from all over the world for this, and our judges are all world-renowned violinists.
Nice. So you're from coast to coast.
Kind of, yes, kind of.
And it sounds like we're going to be busy.
For
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm interested in hearing about the logistics of getting pianos moved around, especially with coming from LA and the fires and all that going on. So what's kind of going on with all that?
Bob and I
how
were just
close
talking
are
about
you
that.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
to fires being close by where the actual competition is and all that?
They're not actually near there, but
Okay.
the fires have been devastating, of
Sure.
course, to Southern California. I live in Santa Barbara, which is about 90 miles north of
Okay.
where the main fires were in the
Okay.
Pacific Palisades and the Eaton fire. And then Palm Springs, of course, is out in the desert, so it's a little bit east of there. So largely unaffected, but it's really, really affected our entire community. It's just been the loss and that people have experienced has just been incredible. As far as the piano competition, Yamaha is going to be our official piano of the competition,
Okay.
and so I've been working with the Yamaha Artist Services in New York, as well as with people in LA, and so we're going to be having pianos brought in for the competition.
Okay, so
which
Yamaha
we're
is
so grateful. We're so
supplying.
grateful. Yeah,
Excellent.
which is really great, and the kids will have a top-notch experience playing on these
That's
instruments.
awesome. That's awesome.
There was
Kind of like the jazz cruise we got going on now that Yamahas are coming all in. Is that where you were going?
Nope. but run with that.
We got the jazz cruise coming up, and we've got all of them now, right? We've got 5 C7s that have just come in. 3 came from Tennessee, I believe. We picked one up from down south at Piano Music Center. So it's always a collaborative effort. And when Yamaha throws the hammer down and says, "You guys got to get pianos here,"
Well, and we have some added complications because our competition runs in 4 separate rounds. So we've invited 25 applicants to come to Palm Springs. And so from there, the judges have to make a cut, unfortunately. And so it goes down to 13, and then they perform again, and then it goes down to 7, and then the final 4 get to play a concerto with a full symphony orchestra at the McAllen Theater in Palm Desert. And so we're going to be moving pianos from different, within those 10 days, we have to have pianos moved over from venue to venue, and there's just a lot, the tuning, all of that stuff. So it's complicated.
Yep.
And of course, this is all happening during the Coachella Festival.
Oh, wow.
Yes, we're running right during Coachella.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Which I think we're going to have to reconsider that going forward. But when you have a junior division competition, and these are kids that are 13 through 17, we really looked carefully at the calendar of the year, and we're trying our best to match it with spring break, so that these young kids are not missing
keeping them away from
school.
Coachella is part of that.
Exactly.
Where's
right?
contestant number 13?
Exactly. Well, maybe I want to pop over to Coachella one evening.
I bet you never thought that you'd be going from Palm Springs, California to Palm Springs, Florida, and doing a podcast, right?
Right,
This
exactly.
is actually technically, it's West Palm Beach, but it's actually called Palm Springs here.
Oh, it's called Palm
This
Springs.
is actually Palm
we are
Springs.
in Palm
Yeah.
Springs right here.
Oh,
Yep.
I didn't even realize this.
Anytime, but Palm Springs has grown over the years, but when it was really, really small,
Yeah.
and I would say we're in Palm Springs, Florida. They're like, no, you're not. I'm like, yeah, we are. I've lived here my whole life.
Right, yeah.
So
I think I lived here for about 10 years before I was like, wait, Palm Springs? I never heard of that. What's that?
It's like that little town. You blink and you
Forest
drove
Hill.
right past it. Yeah.
But we face this with a lot of inquiries from our applicants, because they confuse California and Florida. And so they don't realize initially that Palm Springs is in California, and they're thinking that they're coming to Florida for this competition. And so, especially for the foreign students that may not necessarily know the country. So we have to make that very clear.
Yeah.
Oh, what I was going to say before is about these kids. It's a thrill for them.
Yeah.
One of our customers, they had bought a piano from us, and then the kids progressed so well, and they traded it in for a C7 Yamaha, and they progressed so well, and they were doing a recital and played on a 9-foot piano. And they're like, Dad, we want a 9-foot piano. And they were doing fantastic.
Right.
So they ended up getting a 9'2" Mason and Hamlin double C from us that Leonard Pinario had signed.
Oh, wow.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
And he used to stay at this customer's home and rehearse there before his concert. And he loved the piano so much, so he signed it. So the two teenagers played the piano, and they liked it. I said, well, wait till I'm done with it. Wait till we go through and we do what we do with this thing. When we were done, the oldest son couldn't make it. I think he had actually went off to college at that time, but the youngest son came in, and it was in this back room here, and he sat down and he played it, and he goes, I never played a piano like this before. Just in that kind of like shock, and I said, so you like it? He goes, oh yeah.
It's really funny. I can relate to this. I grew up in Saskatchewan, Canada, in the minus 40-degree winters, and the first time that I got to play a concert grand, a 9-foot piano, I was so overwhelmed. I had never experienced anything like this in my life, and so I totally can relate to this.
And where was that? What was your first experience? Where did you get that experience?
I think my first experience playing a true concert grand 9-foot piano would have been as a young teenager. I had moved to Vancouver at that point to continue my studies, and it was there that I first had that experience.
Would that be the equivalent of me playing on a Stradivarius or
Stradivarius,
a
there you
Guarneri
go.
del Gesù for the first time?
Yeah.
And then saying, to my dad, oh, I want one of these, and hearing that, it's only $12 million. So I think it's a little easier for these piano kids to be able to get a high quality piano than for string
but
players.
you know what? Like at the end of the day, a piano is only as good as its technician and the people that are working on it.
Correct.
Absolutely.
That's the truth of the matter. And so I have great admiration for everything that you guys do and making our lives so much better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like I think I've probably said this before too, and I probably said that I said this before too many times, but because I'm like my dad, I repeat myself. We're the pit crew and you're the NASCAR driver.
That's
know?
great.
Wow.
That's what it is, and it's our job to make sure that the piano is playing and sounding the best that it can. Now everyone's got different taste, touch and tone. It's just human nature, but that's our job. And it's hard from artist to artist, like when Shinya was here, he actually took the whole action that came with the piano out, and there was a whole new action that got shipped here. That's the action that the artist wanted to use.
Right.
So he put a whole new action in and had to completely go through everything.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
On that. Yeah.
Wow.
That's why that big crate came in. I was
Yeah,
like, man, all he really needs is a regulation station. I mean, why is this thing so big? And then I helped him wheel it over there, and we opened it up. I said, you're switching the actions out. And he goes, yeah. And I said, this is the action he likes. And he goes, yeah. I said, oh, okay. Now it made sense.
Yeah.
It made perfect sense.
And, sometimes as a performer myself and as a pianist, I forget this, because I just sort of show up and play concerts, and I have a piano that I have to cope with in that moment. And usually it's almost always they're in very good shape, but I sometimes have to remind myself of what goes on behind to make it together like that. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Well, we've talked about many times too how pianists have it worse than most other musicians
we
because you're showing up with your violin.
We take our violin or
You a
our
lot of
cello.
times,
Yep.
so you get a gig at a club somewhere, for a dinner party or something like that. You're playing whatever they got.
That's right. And for an international piano competition where we're bringing in 25 young kids, and these kids are playing big, serious piano repertoire. Like they're some of the biggest stuff, Rachmaninoff and Beethoven and Chopin, and so we have to have a technician on hand 24/7 because we just never know what's going to happen. And these pianos are going to need to be tuned or adjusted. You could have a broken string. You could have all sorts of mishaps. And so it's really, really an incredible thing that these guys do.
Are we going to have the piano technician because we have 25 host families with pianos also, that each kid is staying at a host family with a piano. And I guess my question is the piano technician also going to be on call if there's something happens to one of the pianos at one of the host families?
This is why I brought Jill on board because she asks all the questions that I sometimes don't remember. That's a very, very good question.
Yes, and, Tobias will be in.
So maybe we could have a technician from Hamilton Piano.
Well,
exactly.
I was going to ask: is this your personal technician that you use all the time out there, or at the school?
We haven't quite figured out the dynamics of that yet because there are a few very good technicians, of course, in Palm Springs. So we're probably going to be using somebody local there, and we just have to determine that. We're just not sure yet at this point.
I would recommend have 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Yeah. The reason why is one guy gets sick.
Yeah.
One guy is late because of Coachella. Something.
Yeah.
Just having backup. That's why
you got a lot of pianos, especially if you're incorporating the ones in the homes.
Right.
Plus all the ones in the competition.
Right.
Even
you got a fleet of pianos that you got to take care of.
Yeah, we have to make sure that those pianos are actually in tune before
they
get there.
arrive there.
Yep.
Right.
And even with the movers,
time to make some phone calls.
we just added a whole
You
list
guys
of
are
things for you.
I'm having a little bit more anxiety than I had earlier today.
We need to give you a pad too.
How many pianos did you need?
Yeah, we can ship them. We can have them out there. We can have one of our cruise lines get them out there.
There you go.
We'll say they fell off the ship. The reason why I'm saying that is just because those couple of reasons. And 2, even with the movers, to make sure whoever's moving the pianos that it's a crew. It's not just 2 guys, because one guy's sick, that can mess everything up.
Yep.
So having 2, 3, 4, 5 guys as, for backup for whatever you need. That's why we're fortunate here because, everybody here knows more than one thing. We have half a dozen technicians. We have a half a dozen piano movers. And we can always switch place and do what we need to do.
I got a question. We're allowed to be sick?
No.
Not to my knowledge.
After season, yes, you can be sick.
That's what we call hospitalized. Okay. If you get hospitalized, it's okay.
I want 2 doctor's notes.
So I want to let Robert tell the idea that he came across for the drawing of lots when the 25 pianists come into Palm Springs, and in a competition you have. You assemble all the kids, you have a welcome reception, everyone talks, everyone gets some food and some drinks, and then they have to draw the lots to see who will go first. That's the order of how they will perform in the competition. And in the past, as a violin competition, we just did little pieces of paper in a bowl. It was kind of fun. And I said to Bob, we need to think of something. And so Bob came up with this great idea.
I actually think it was your idea.
I know. I think it was your idea. So I'm going to let you tell everyone what the idea is.
We were talking on the phone because we talk on the phone all the time as we get closer to the competition. And Jill had this idea of hammers, piano hammers. Mm-hmm. Just the little small things. And so I thought, that would be sort of cool. And this would be fun for younger people of this age, right? And so I'm on the faculty at UC Santa Barbara. I'm a professor there. And so the next time I went to school, I stopped our piano technician. I said, you don't have any hammers around, do you? And within 3 minutes, he had 25 hammers. Yeah. So we're going to, maybe have someone paint them or have little colors, and then we're going to number them from 1 to 25, so the kids can draw lots and just make it fun.
That's a great
Make
idea.
it really fun.
That's a great idea.
And then it'll be something they can take home as a souvenir. They can remember, So
Number one goes, I came in first.
yeah, right.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea.
I think I actually suggested piano keys, and you said, no, let me see if there's something else.
I think, maybe that's what it was. But it's a great idea.
You could probably 3D print some and.
Yeah, we could. We've been doing a lot of 3D printing lately.
Oh, yeah.
And just with the classes I'm coming up teaching at, and so to show the technicians, how our carts and everything work here. It's one thing to see it in a slideshow, on a projector, but it's another thing to actually like do show and tell and pass it around and show it to everybody. So
right.
And if anybody wants to see that, we're going to be putting that video up on Facebook so they can see it.
Oh, you videoed
firsthand.
it?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
But by the time this podcast comes out, it should be on Hamilton Piano Company Facebook.
I should also interject that the finals of the piano competition will be live streamed. So if that's something you can, share with your viewers and people, that would be great. So they can see the 4 that have made it from the 25 that will be playing. In the
Awesome.
final.
And will that be shared? Where will that live stream be shared?
We on our website.
Probably the website. There should be a link on the website, and
Is there a competition website?
Yeah.
Is there a Facebook page for the website? Or
Yes, there is.
There is?
There is.
okay. All right.
Yep. So that'll all
we can share that too.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. What is the website?
It's psipc.org.
So Palm Springs International Piano Competition, psipc.org. I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but
Well, if you share the link, we can actually post it onto our site too.
Yeah, we'll share
That'd be
it on
great.
our stuff
Absolutely.
too.
That'd be great.
awesome.
Yeah, it's all about, once again, collaborating together.
Absolutely.
From one end of the business to the other. We're from the pianist to the teachers to the musicians to the movers to the technicians. I mean, it's a whole small world if you really think about it, because the majority of the world doesn't know what goes into a piano, and there's very few people that actually do this type of a business from one aspect to the other.
Right.
So it's like West Coast to East Coast, in the piano world. And that's what's kind of cool about it, is because you get to meet a lot of interesting people. You get to learn a lot of different things. Copeland Davis is a concert pianist, a friend of ours. And the first time I worked for him on his personal piano, my family worked for him for years. And so I went and tuned for him. And he, by the end of my tuning, or by the end of the visit, and I was very nervous when I first tuned for him, but by the end, he goes, I learned so much. I had no clue what went into a piano. And that's because I was explaining it to him when I was there after the tuning, and this and this and this, because he wanted to change the touch a little bit. I said, so we have to do this and this and this. So that's the thing. We don't know what you all know, and you don't know what we all know.
Right.
So you need both, because there's no person on this planet that can know everything.
That's right.
You can be a great concert pianist, you can't be a great piano technician, and vice versa.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Right.
Well, and like, speaking of that, like as a musician and as a pianist, I don't even know what it means to not work collaboratively. Do you know what I mean? In every respect and every aspect of what I do. And as a performer, I am what they call a collaborative pianist. And so basically that's the politically correct term for an accompanist. And so I've built my whole career working with other people, with violinists and cellists and singers and that kind of thing. And which sort of makes the whole connection here with Jill really special for me too, because she is the executive director of the Elmar Oliveira International Violin Competition, and I have been Elmar's collaborative pianist. I've been his pianist for 30 years.
Oh, wow.
And so it's all come full circle in so many ways that we're working together now on a piano competition. And so I just can't imagine working as an individual all by myself as a musician.
Yeah.
For anybody who's watching or listening to this podcast who still owns a CD player, I am happy to give CDs of both Elmar and Robert's. I have several different CDs, and I can let you know what those CDs are. And if anybody wants one, I'm happy to.
I absolutely do.
I do
Absolutely.
too. I'll take
And
one.
we'll get some here at the shop so you
Absolutely.
can have. Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yep.
I had a kind of a funny experience on the concert stage I think it was last week or this week. I don't know. I haven't had a day off in 3 weeks, so it was somewhere in that time frame. So
the season.
Wuhan, I'm working for her. And so she texted me and she says, the piano needs, it's a little dull and this and this and this. There were some, issues with a few notes. And I said, okay. So I was able to, one was a little buzz, a quick, simple fix. Another one was another buzz I took care of. And, but it was dull. So I'm like, oh man, it's 2:00. They come in at 3, they open the doors at 3. And I don't have enough time for this, and I'm still got to tune it, and I'm, and so I called the stage manager and said, what time's the concert? He goes, 7:30. I said, oh, okay, no problem. So then I get to town, and I started voicing the piano, making it brighter. And then I called her, and I said, this is what I've done, and, let me know if there's any issues. I said, I'll be back tomorrow morning for, before rehearsal, and if there's a problem, let me know. So I get up to the piano and I'm like, let's see if there's a note there, And so I take the cover off the piano, no note. I'm like, okay. Open up the lid, no note. And I'm like, I open up the fallboard, no note. Yes. It's like, all right. She was happy. Everything's good.
Is that what they do? They leave little notes for you?
Let me tell you about a note that was left for me one time. So George Winston was rehearsing at Old School Square. And he was a night owl. So he was rehearsing from like 12 midnight till 4 in the morning for a concert he was doing. I think it was in Miami or Boca or somewhere. I don't remember. This is quite a while ago. And so I go to tune the piano. It's a 9-foot Baldwin. Nice piano. It was a good piano. And I'm just about done. And Holland Ryan, who was running it, now he's at Sunrise in the theater in Fort Pierce. And so anyway, he goes, did you get the email? I said, no, what email? He goes, there's 4 pages of how he wants the piano to be. And I said, what? I'm like, okay, let me see the email. So he printed it out for me and I said, nope, yep, nope, yep. And I just went through the checklist, right? Yeah. And everything, some of the things that he wanted, I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. It's just one of those things. I'm like, but this I will do, and it was not every single note, but I want, G sharp 5 this way. I want B4, B flat 4 this way. Yeah. And now I'm like, I've never gotten an email like that before. I'm like, you got to
never get another one.
Yeah, you got to be kidding me. Now he's rehearsing there. I think it was 3, 4, 5 nights in a row. So I had to tune it every day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I did what I did. I said, I agree with this. I disagree with this. So I did what I felt was right. So the next day there's a note on the piano and I'm like, okay, let's see what this says. Tobias, this is one of the finest pianos I've ever played.
Wow.
Thank you so much. And blah, 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 blah. I don't remember the rest. I had the note. I kept it somewhere. And I think there was one note that he wanted something worked on, but he said, you did everything no, I didn't. I just did what I thought.
If you ever write a memoir, that's a memoir I would read. Mm-hmm. It's like, and I often think I should write little stories about it too. And this is many, many years ago, but I was playing a concert in Des Moines, Iowa. And I got there for the dress rehearsal, which was a couple hours before the concert to try out the piano. And this piano, it looked like it had been in some dirty, dark basement for like years and years. And they hadn't even taken the time to clean it. And it had just so much dirt and dust on it. And so I thought, I actually thought this was pretty funny, which, it was sort of funny. And so on the piano lid in the dirt, I wrote my name and I put Robert Koenig and I put the date just, in the dirt, right? So I'm not kidding you. 3 weeks later, excuse me, 3 weeks later, I got a call from one of my friends in New York. She said, Bob, did you just recently play a concert in Des Moines? And I said, yes. She had just been to play, and my name was still in the dirt 3 weeks later. So my career has been immortalized in dirty pianos.
I thought you were going to say someone took a magic marker and went along the signature with
it. Well, there's one other time I had Vladimir Feltzman, mm-hmm. And so what happened with him was I think it was the first or second time he ever played over here in the States. My dad worked for him, and my dad had worked for him a couple different times and said, he's tough. And so I'm nervous because he's coming in March and I know about this in November. So for 5 months, I'm just like, I'm not looking forward to this day, but okay. So I wait for him to come in. He comes in with his 4 dogs into the theater. And he goes, can you wait 20, 30 minutes? I'll find something wrong with the piano. And I said, okay, what am I going to do? You know?
Nope.
So there goes my career. So I sat there, and 20, 30 minutes later, he goes, can you just lighten the touch a little bit for me? And I said, well, I can lubricate the key pins. And I mean, the touch was like at 48 grams down weight, which you don't want to go any less than that on the concert stage. That's kind of pushing it. And I said, well, I'll lubricate it, and that might help a little bit for you. So I come back for the concert. I have to do a standby. And I said, I lightened the touch for you. Can you tell? He said, yeah, thank you. I'm like, okay.
You know, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's not a lot of people like this, but there are several very well-known famous concert pianists that actually travel with their own instrument.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And they're, that's just what they do, and they have it with them at all times. And so,
Jim Brickman,
okay.
I think he's one.
Yeah.
I think Elton John does.
Uh-huh.
I'm not mistaken.
Elton
we know
does.
Billy Joel does, but when he plays on the Kurzweil,
Nora Jones.
Nora Jones, I think does. I think she does. Because we work for Live Nation, so all the big concerts that come to town, we take care of the tunings. Alicia Keys, I think, does.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, and they do, and that's a lot of cartage to do. You know,
Totally.
I mean, going from town to town to town. It was funny. My dad was tuning at the Kravis Center for John Tesh, and we were talking about full circle. When I ended up working for John Tesh 20 years later, I told him this story, how the piano, it was his piano, he's another one, and it was on the concert stage, and my dad's tuning it. And my dad thought this piano came from California because it was really out of tune. And so John Tesh came up, and my dad's wiping the keys, and after he tuned it, cleaning it. And John Tesh walks in and goes, I didn't ask for a wash and a wax, on this thing. And so my dad goes, nope, just part of the job.
Full service.
Yeah.
Full
And he
service.
goes, where did this piano come from? And he said, Orlando. That's where his last concert was. My dad's like, man, that piano was really out of tune for just coming from Orlando, but one time with Jim Brickman, his piano came in and all the keys were up and out. They were not sitting, onto the key frame properly. So it's a simple fix, but I think the crew was kind of freaking out because they saw that. And that's a sign that the piano got jostled.
Right.
One way or the other. It got jostled enough that the keys came out of the key pins.
Could have been a speed bump.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens.
That's incredible to travel with your own piano all the time. I mean, think about the liability and the chances of something going wrong, something, it being bumped, it being damaged.
That's just it.
That is
and just a word of advice to anybody listening, that if you're moving and you have a piano coming with you, do not trust it to just general movers.
Only
people that
whether
know.
it's personal or professional. I mean, either way. Yanni, he's another one. We used to, when he did a lot of touring, we moved his piano to wherever it was going to for rehearsal hall, and then down to the port for it to go overseas to his concert hall. And his technician at the time was with him, and I got a little funny story about that. So Peter Mayer was his name, and that's how I met Peter 20 some odd years ago. And so when I first got to the piano, he has an artist bench, he's an artist, 9-foot piano artist bench, and there's a string tied to it. And I'm like, so I asked Peter, I said, why is there a string tied to the piano bench? He goes, well, the artist benches are heavy. So, and Yanni, when he would go on stage, he'd always have to move, and it was it's just a little heavy.
Right.
So he tied the string to the bench or to the pedals. It may have been either or, so that he knew exactly the distance where to put the bench, so Yanni wouldn't have to move it when he came on stage. I was like, that was pretty slick, man.
Wow.
That was a good idea.
You know what I love is these really long, extended benches. Because, sometimes when I'm performing, I end up having to use my legs to sort of keep balance. But with those big benches they're completely surrounding me, I don't feel any sort of worry about moving around.
Have you seen the newest bench?
No.
It slides with you.
Oh.
What?
The whole bench seat slides left and right.
This like the seat top.
Yep. So it's on some kind of mechanics.
Are you on Velcro?
There's a seatbelt.
It slides. They're on like rods to where rollers.
The legs are fixed.
See, now I'm picturing it in my head.
But the seat.
But the seat, like my chair would, like this, the seat is fixed, but the top slides back and forth.
Oh, how
So
cool.
when you're going to the bass and you're going like this, it'll slide with you.
And how many do you have on order?
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because I came, I think, on my news feed or something, and it came up. I was like, "Oh, it's pretty cool," but I kind of forgot about it till just now.
Wow.
But
Yeah, I
yeah,
haven't
that was
seen
pretty
that.
I'm
interesting.
going to have to check this out and look at them.
Yeah,
I
it was
could play
pretty
Mary
interesting.
Had a Little Lamb in any octave.
Whose piano was it that came from Italy that we uncrated and put into his travel case?
Herbie Hancock.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Fazioli.
Which he travels with his as well.
Well, it was funny
At
because
times, because I've delivered rentals for him too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because he was playing, I think it was Jacksonville,
Yep.
and basically what we had to do was they dropped it was a brand new Fazioli out of the shipping crate to us. We had the crate was pretty freaking cool. I mean,
Yeah,
the way
it
that
was.
it was designed, it was really neat. And it's kind of funny because we had a Bluthner kind of the same way, and that crate was so nice. It's actually in my backsplash in my kitchen. we took the planks and we refinished it. Jason did, and we put that on, and that's our backsplash. But we had to take it out of the shipping crate, putting into the touring crate, and they were there like an hour after we did. I mean, this was all happening, boom, 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 because I had to get to Jacksonville, I think, for his start of his concert.
Yeah.
So it's amazing how fast the things go, and like we're talking about the behind the scenes, the people that are involved with making these things happen.
Yeah.
The stagehands and the lighting and the engineers, and actually Jorge was here. He's the engineer for Carolina Jones, and he brought a couple guitar cases, and he goes, "Can you fix these for me?" I said, "Actually, yeah, I can." It was nothing out of my realm. So. But we met at her place when she was doing her recordings, and we got along. So we're fixing this for him. But that's the behind the scenes stuff.
Yep.
It's just like in a movie. You don't see the thousands of people that
Right.
made that movie. You only see the dozen or 2 dozen actors that are in that movie.
Right. So when you go to the concert, all you see is the beautiful piano on stage with the
The performer.
Yeah.
performer.
Yeah,
you
that's
have
it.
no idea of everything that went on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I had one time. So we had two 9-foot dual artists. They were young guys. They were in their early 20s, and I think they were from Finland or Poland or something. These kids were, I call them kids. They're not kids, but to me they are. I'm turning a certain age in a month. But these guys, they were great, and I mean they were so good that they made two pianos sound like one. Like they're brothers. They were only a couple years apart. They were so in sync, and I had told them how they should put the pianos together. So during intermission, I go up on stage to do touch-up tuning, and make sure everything was okay. And people were coming up to me, "Is that one big piano?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, and so I get back to work, and another couple, "Is that one big piano?" And I was just like, "No," but they did so good. People thought that it was just one big piano.
Wow.
I mean, they were, in the way that we tied it in together, the curve to curve, and it kind of blended in.
That's got to sound pretty powerful.
Yeah,
You've got two of them in sync like that.
Yep. So, but that was pretty cool. And
That's
they
great.
were really good. I can't remember their names. I tried to get them to come here to the shop. But you guys are so busy when you're on tour. When you're doing what you're doing, between not your rehearsals, and everything else you got to go through, hotel stays and traveling and all that stuff. You guys do a lot. I know, like when I would do for Live Nation and work for, like the Eagles or Bruce Springsteen, this and that. I'm working on the piano or tuning the piano. I'm like, gosh, this thing needs a lot of work. There's no time to do any work to the piano while you're on tour because there's so many shows going on.
That's right.
And it's boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
Yeah, but now that I know that you're willing to look at 4-page notes from pianists, and, I know who I'm calling.
Was it 4 or 5?
Nope.
It might have
4 or
been,
5.
might have been 5 pages.
And I'm still going to go, yep, nope, yep.
No, but almost all the time as pianists, we show up at a concert hall the day of the concert to try out the piano and the dress rehearsal, and that's it. Like you have, if there's something really really in trouble, then yes, you can address it with someone. But most of the time, we just sort of have to deal with what we're given.
And you got to work around it.
You have to work around it, and that's not easy all the time, but that's the reality.
You have some horror stories of having to work with stuff.
I've played some what I would call real dogs over the years, but it's part of the profession. And you, as an artist, have to be able to adjust. And violinists are so lucky; they get to bring their own instrument with them, and the whole thing. But it's that's just part of the business.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, 1 year I worked for Radu Lupu, and
loved him.
Yes.
Went on tour. I toured with him.
Oh, you did?
I did. Amazing.
One of my all-time favorite.
He did
pianists.
the two. I toured with him with the two Brahms
Oh, okay.
piano concerti. Yeah, in
So-
Japan. In Japan.
Oh, wow. So I have a story.
I'm sure she does too.
A lot more than me, I bet. So about 2 weeks before I had to work for him, I had an artist that just didn't like me. And I don't know if I mentioned this before. He just didn't like me. He was complaining about me, saying it's not the piano's fault, it's the technician's fault, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there going, you're 10 feet away. I make my living with my ears. I can hear you, right? That's what I'm thinking. But whatever. I let it go. And so that went on. Now I have Radu Lupu. So Radu, he was complaining about the piano too. I'm like, what's going on? I mean, everyone usually loves this piano. So he goes, you hear this note? I said, yeah. He goes, that's the only note I like on the piano.
Oh.
And I said, okay. So I had time. So I voiced the whole piano to that one note. And once again, another standby. I have to come back, and make sure everything's okay. And I walk in, and Philip says, Toby, the artist wants to meet with you. And I'm like, okay. He goes, he wants to thank you. He's very happy. I said, you said happy, right? And he goes, yeah. And I said, okay. So I go backstage, and he goes, Tobias, thank you. I love the piano. I love it. I said, oh, okay, thanks, And he goes, no, I'm thanking you. You made it beautiful. I really like it. And I said, oh, okay, So I stayed for the show. Everything's great, blah, 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 blah. He gave me a nice autograph too. And so the following year, the guy that didn't like me is back for the next year. So I get up on stage, and now I'm kind of ready. I'm ready. Okay, tell me what's wrong. He goes, you worked for Radu Lupu last year? I said, yes. He goes, well, me and him are very good friends. And we talked after our touring season or whatever, and he goes, he told me he never had an experience with a technician in his whole career like he had with you, where you matched that whole piano to one note. And he goes, for you to be able to do that is and he couldn't find the words to finish the sentence. I said, oh, well, thank you. And he goes, well, this is the note I like. And I'm like, I've got an hour, and I have to tune the piano. I said, I'll do what I can. So, but that's just, the pros and cons of being, on either end of the business, your end, our end, whatever it is.
Yeah.
We all have stories in the piano world.
But I'm sitting here starstruck, because if you got the endorsement of Radu Lupu,
Yeah.
you're the man. You're the man.
I find his autograph. I have it somewhere. And but when I said, "Oh, thank you," and he goes, "No, I'm thanking you." That was like, well, wait a minute, I was really.
When I was living in Switzerland, I used to see him on the train sometimes because he lived in Lausanne, and sometimes I would see him on the train.
He was very nice.
Very sweet.
Yeah.
Very sweet. Amazing pianist. Amazing.
And that full circle part we're talking about, there's autographs on the wall back here of like one of them's Peter Serkin, all right? And I worked for him, and I should have gotten his autograph. I wouldn't say I'm not as gutsy as my grandfather was. My grandfather would crash after our parties, after the concert. We don't do that. But I should have gotten his autograph, because then I could have put it next to the older autograph there, and done that part. But it's also too, I can't remember his name. He was a concert pianist, and he was fantastic, but then he started getting arthritis, really, really bad. And so he was actually doing a concert because when, not Botox, maybe it was Botox, they started doing injections in his hands, and he was able to play again, not like he used to.
You're probably talking about Leon Fleischer.
That's it. Yep, exactly. Yep. And so I'm waiting for him. He's rehearsing. He went off stage, and then he comes back on stage, and then he took his hands and just kind of bent them way back like this. But he only played, I think, for 20 minutes, and then the rest of the concert was all talking about his history and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's, just stories like that. This is why we have the podcast. these are stories that people need to hear. I'm sure you guys got a ton of them too. And if there's any stories that you can think of right now that you want to mention, that's what it is. And we can always do another podcast together too, because I'm sure you guys have a ton of stories.
I'm just so overwhelmed just being here in the store, because it's just, I look around here and it's just incredible what you and your family have built here, and it's thriving, obviously, and it just makes me so happy. Makes me so happy.
I feel so spoiled that we have this in our back. We have this in our back. I'm like, wait, you don't have a Hamilton piano company where you live?
No.
Oh.
Well, what did you say earlier? You said there should be a Hamilton piano company in every city in the world.
No,
I did say that.
No.
I could 3D print myself.
Makes me wonder.
Here you go. Here you go.
And a Hamilton piano company for you, and a Hamilton piano company for you.
Jill, there's, as a violin player, we were just talking about the violin shop that's down in Pompano.
Oh yeah, Fiddler Shop.
Fiddler Shop.
Yep,
that's
that's
right.
Pierre Holstein's place. Yeah, he's wonderful. And they have it's called the Sounding Post. They have a kind of a performance space. I think they were actually looking for a piano. I should find out if they're still.
Well, we took one to their break room, like a little console piano or something like that.
Oh, is that the upright that's in the? Yes.
So we took that there, and that's when I discovered the place. And I was, oh my God, this is sort of like. I didn't get a tour of the place or anything, but it's like kind of the same size as this place.
The violin equivalent of.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so you work with them and know them.
Yep. They're supporters. They're sponsors. They're wonderful. Love them. And Pierre's a big. He and his wife. Usa, I think is her name. She's Swedish, and they're big sailors. They have a catamaran, and they sail all over.
Wow. Nice.
Yes.
Very cool. Well, we were just talking about it just the other day, and we'd like to hook up with them and have them come here.
Oh, yeah. Let's
we should go there and do a tour.
Let's absolutely
have them on the the podcast too. And
absolutely. I will. Let's get it going. Let's get it going. Yeah.
I always find it, as a pianist, I find it interesting, and I've played with violinists my whole career, but I find it very interesting to go into their shops because I'm frightened actually to be in those shops, because when you're around Stradivarius and Guarneri del Gesù instruments that are worth millions of dollars, right. I just like, oh, yeah, it's a whole different, like, you wouldn't see necessarily a showroom for violins, right?
Where you do.
I guess you would.
There are.
It's just smaller.
Well, I think I know
a lot more of them.
I think I know why, is because as a concert pianist,
right?
you're playing hard, and in a violin, you just don't want to.
Yeah.
You want to. It's like
very
a
delicate
harpsichord. I don't want to tune a harpsichord because I'm afraid I'm going to break it.
Yep.
I mean, even as tuning it, you're banging the key to set that pin so it stays in tune. A technician told me 27 years ago, he goes, it's as important that the piano is in tune after the concert as it is before the concert starts. Mm-hmm. That shows that you did the proper tuning. So like when I try to follow my own tunings, I was like, hey, you did good this time. This time. I mean, we're not perfect. I mean, but that's the statement always stuck with me, what he said when I took that class. And it's true, because when you have someone like Copeland Davis, who I mean, Copeland, my dad rented him a piano for a concert one time. He elongated the keyholes. The key pin holes. So the keys were pulley keys. Now they're forward and backward because he played it so hard, but that's just how people, some artists are. They play like that.
Yeah.
But that's why I think we feel like, ooh, a harpsichord.
And I've played the harpsichord a fair amount, but I'm scared of it too. Because I feel like all I have to do is breathe, and it's going to play. I don't even have to get close to it. But it was fun actually when you gave me a little tour of the facilities here, and you have a Bösendorfer in here that has the original the two extra keys at the bottom.
No, four.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's just so I'm geeking out.
Well, the backstory with that one is Hurricane Milton. The water line came almost up to the lid on that, and so the customer ended up giving it to us, and Mike and Trevor, right? You guys both went and picked it up and brought it in here, and kudos to Bösendorfer because it is salvageable, and we're going to rebuild it and make it live again the right way, and call the customer in when it's done and see if they want it back. we're gonna try to do that full circle, with that, because they were kind of upset with it leaving, but maybe if we can bring it back into their lives as good, if not better. Well, I shouldn't say that because Bosendorfer would not be happy about that. But
they'll just have to come by the shop and take a look for themselves.
Right. But
that's amazing.
It's just amazing. And, I live in California, and of course we were talking about the fires and the recent fires. And I have several colleagues and friends that have lost their pianos when they lost everything. And some of them had, I have one friend that had 2 Steinway Ds, lost them both. And
I just heard about a Bosendorfer too.
Yeah.
A Bosendorfer Imperial, just like this one.
Yeah,
that was lost in a fire.
Oh, it just breaks my heart.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because if you're a violinist or a cellist, or you could just pick up your instrument and run.
All right.
Spoiled rotten, you guys.
You don't even have to carry it. You just put it on your back.
Right.
But my heart really went out to all these, and I was talking to Bob about it, and I said, these poor people, and I said, maybe you talk to Yamaha and see about, if there's a way they could get some rentals or something, and find a way to get people these pianos, people who use them for their livelihood, or people. And
I mean, and it just goes to show you, what you see on TV is not what you see in reality, in the sense that, you look at a movie, you see these actors, you think this and this and this, then you see what's happening to their homes. The fire didn't skip their place.
That's
I mean,
right.
they're just in it like everybody else is.
Right.
So it kind of brings reality to the front of your eyes.
Yeah.
Like, you think things are one thing when you see it on a movie screen or a TV screen, but it's not. Just because you see something and you think, oh, they got it good because of this. Not necessarily, I mean, that's just life. It's just, we're all on this planet with the same problems. Yeah. We all have that,
Yeah.
But with those pianos, I mean, eventually, hopefully they can get something back. I mean, we have it in our area with the hurricanes.
Hurricanes, of course.
You guys got it with the fires.
That's right.
Now it's the cold.
We also know a nonprofit that if someone contributes to,
correct,
could supply that with them.
Right.
Yep.
And movers that we can go to California and drop them,
take care of them, and tuners
during Coachella, so we can make a stop. Check out the piano competition.
There you go.
There you go.
See? Full circle.
Collaboration.
That's
win.
all the way around. All the way around.
That's our philosophy here. It's got to be a win-win-win. If it's a win-win and a lose, it's not a win-win-win. It's got to be the trifecta where everybody's got to be happy, because you just don't want. It doesn't matter to us if we're happy and you're not, or vice versa. Everybody's got to be happy. It's got to be that way, because it's
everybody's got to win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and when you're really looking at it, the reality of it, how privileged are we to do what we do with our lives?
Yep.
As a performer, I get to it's such a privilege to get on stage and be a musician and share this with people. And you guys are the ones that are making it all happen behind the scenes and making it real. You know what I mean? And we're so privileged. So.
And that's why we get free field trips here.
Yeah.
And we've been doing recitals too. We had 75 people here a couple weekends ago. We do that, and we do the field trips. I think we have 30. Well, Lisa is bringing doing
her
field
class
trip.
here.
And then we have another one on sometime in February. That's all I know. There's 30 people coming. But it's what we try to do is we give the kids parts to take home with them. Eventually, when we do the addition here, we're going to have little workstations where we have them building parts and doing that kind of thing. But we teach them so that it keeps their interest into the piano. Look what's actually happening when you press down on the key.
Yeah.
Look at all these parts. There's more moving parts here than in a car. So you do all that. It makes them start thinking different about what's actually happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like, once again, behind the curtain, behind the movie screen, behind the scenes with a piano.
That's right.
The winner of this upcoming piano competition is actually going to be performing in Florida at the Pensacola?
No, Gulf Coast Symphony.
Sorry, Gulf Coast Symphony,
In
which
Fort
is
Myers.
in Fort Myers. And if we could, and this would be in the coming years, but if we could work it out that the young winner could possibly come up here and play and do a podcast, that would be amazing.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
and the other
That'd be
big
awesome.
component too, for both Jill and I, with the organizations that we're leading, is the music education part of it. Because yes, we're bringing in these star violinists and star pianists to compete at this level, but we're also like, I'm going to go play at the Alzheimer's Community Center tomorrow, and these are things that it's our responsibility as
Yes.
musicians to be participating in,
Absolutely.
to bring that to the community. And in Palm Springs, we offer a bunch of after-school keyboard programs, and we actually bring, I think, up to 20 keyboards into the schools with us, into very underprivileged neighborhoods where these kids would have no access to music other than that. And when you see the joy and that this brings to young people, that's what it's all about.
And it's going to make them a better individual as they get older.
That's right.
Because when you get your left hand to do something different than your right, you're firing neurons in
That's
your brain
exactly
that you
it.
typically don't use.
Yeah.
So that's why when someone's taking a child's taking piano lessons, I always tell them, just don't stop. Just don't stop, because so many times, time and time and again, parents said, I wish I didn't have stopped. I wish I never stopped. So now they have their kids doing it. And I've told them it will make you more disciplined, more patient, and smarter. And it's a proven fact. It's not Toby's, saying, this is a proven fact that this is what it does for you. And I tell the kids, I guarantee you, 20 years from now, if you're at someone's home or you're somewhere and you know how to play the piano, you go sit down and play it. All your friends or everybody at that party is going to flock around to hear what you got to play, because they can't do it, and you can do something no one else can do. And you can also write something. It doesn't have to be sheet music. You could just have it in your head and play something no one else in the world has ever heard before.
Yep.
The piano's that type of instrument that you can compose something that no one else has heard. The human ear has never heard everything a piano can produce. It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's 220 strings, 88 notes, Bosendorfer, 92, and the other one, 96, but that's the thing. So it's such a complex instrument that you can do those type of things with it. And, trying to keep these kids interested in it. That's why we do the field trips, because we're I don't want for them to do what I did, where when I was about 10 years old, I was already playing for 6 years. It took a couple years for me to tell my dad, because I'm the son of a piano tuner, Dad, I don't want to take piano lessons anymore. And I was about 12 at that time. And he goes, well, you'll regret it. I'm like, yeah. Well, of course, I'm saying the same thing that my customers say, I'm fortunate enough my kids still take lessons, in school, but they play other instruments too.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. And it will make you a smarter individual.
The thing is, you'll never hear someone say, I wish I had never taken piano lessons.
Right.
Yep.
Well, hold on. I got a story about that.
But it's like with our after school keyboard programs, we're not in the business of teaching these kids how to play the piano. We're in the business of introducing them to creativity and to structure and discipline and community, because they get to do it together. It's yes, if they're talented and they pursue it and they want to go further, that's even better. But that's what music education is about for me.
And for older people too, it's a stress reliever.
That's right.
If you have an instrument in front of you, when you're focusing on playing the piano, everything else disappears.
Yeah.
But getting back to my story.
Yeah.
So there used to be a restaurant called the Governor's Club in West Palm, and there was a Baldwin that I was tuning. And so I'm tuning the piano, and of course there's people still eating, but I was there when I was told to be there. And this guy complained that I was tuning, so they asked me to stop. And as he's walking by me, he goes, now I know why I wanted to shoot my mother when she gave me piano lessons. I was like, what? I'm like, dude, you're a miserable person.
Oh my God.
So that's the one guy.
Just the one guy. Just the one guy,
We hear it all the time in houses that, somebody's being gifted a piano or just bought a piano again, who's, in our age. They used to be older people. Now they're my age. I figured that out. But
They're still
people
older
that
people.
Played, people that played as kids and are just now getting a piano again. And like, oh man, I wish I never. I begged my mom to quit. And my daughter's in the same category. My youngest, Sammy, she's 14 now. She played from 5 till 10, and it was like, she was in tears making her practice every day. So we were finally like, okay. enough for that.
Yeah.
And it's completely counterproductive at that point. But, still, and I've said it again, every once in a while we'll come home and there'll be sheet music on the piano. So we're like, okay, well, she got the basics down, so she'll be one of those down the road.
Sure.
It's like, I wish I would.
People come into my house and they look at my beautiful piano that I now have because of you guys, that you completely changed my life by doing that. I mean, well, Tobias is, but all of you've all seen me cry several times over a piano.
And y'all are about to see it right now.
But people come into the house and they say, "Oh, who plays the piano?" And neither I play or my husband. But I have to have a piano in my house. I have to. I mean, and actually, I played today with Robert. We actually just played for some
just to play.
Yeah. And I have chamber music parties, and when I have my artists in town and they want a place to rehearse, or it's just I have to have that piano there. I cannot live without a piano. I remember the day that you brought the first piano that I had from Lynn that was in Roberta Rust's studio. You brought that Yamaha, which I thought was the best thing ever.
And it was at that time.
At that time, it was.
Until I came into the picture.
Until it wasn't. But yes, having a piano in my house has always been a constant source of joy. There's nothing unhappy or not joyful about having a piano in your home.
It turns a house into a home.
That's exactly right. And a dog.
Yeah.
That's right. And a dog.
And a dog.
Just don't let the dog chew on a piano.
Yes.
Right.
Or pee on the caster.
On the casters
Right.
or yourself.
Right.
You'll have to replace the casters. Trust me. We've gone through this numerous times. But yeah, it does. It turns a house into a home, and it just kind of adds an elegance, maybe, if you say, that way. And it doesn't matter really whether it's a vertical, a baby grand, a petite grand, concert grand. It really doesn't matter. It just, I think because the piano has got, that shape, that curve to it, the keys, if the lid's open, you see the inside, you see the mechanics of it, the engineering that went into it, and you just are like in awe. Even for me, I'm still in awe over the piano, and I've been doing this now for almost 30 years.
And we've noticed.
I have a fetish with pianos.
7 storage units.
No, I'm a hoarder.
A piano hoarder.
Yeah.
But no, and it's we do what we do because we have 7 storage units full of pianos, because those are pianos that when we get to them and go through them and refurbish them, rebuild them, whatever we do, they're going to go to a good home. They're going to live again.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's,
you're breathing life into,
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why, remember, I was so concerned about the Yamaha. Like, what's going to happen to it? And you said, don't worry. It's going to get a home. It's going to be rebuilt, and we're going to do something.
It's definitely going to get a home.
Yes.
It won't be the dump. Don't worry.
No.
But it's one of those things, where we do what we do. Once again, ambassadors for the piano. We do what we do so that this way we can keep the music going, in one form or another. We sell a lot of pianos, and we're happy to sell a lot of pianos because we know that the piano world is still alive. And a lot of customers, through the years, they've come back and bought 2 or 3 different pianos from us because they went to a friend or a family or whatever, bought on a second home, So for what we do, it's for the kids, for what you guys do. Putting on shows and doing what you do too. It's it was kind of funny at the 4 Arts. I was doing getting ready to tune for a concert, and there's a big fly swatter inside the piano. Then there's a pencil, and I'm not kidding you. The pencil is about this big and about that big.
First
around.
grade pencils.
Yep. And then there's a net on the side of the piano. I'm like, and now there's seats like it's a little, little orchestra. So I start tuning the piano, and I take the fly swatter off, I take the music desk off, I take all that stuff off, and the pianist comes up to me and goes, "Oh, okay, just don't lose that fly swatter." He goes, "This is a kid show we're doing," and I said, "Oh, okay." So he had some funky thing going on, but it's good. Those are the things that we have to talk about it, and we have to do something about it, and we are, on both aspects of it. So, anything else you guys want to talk about?
No, this is just great.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun,
Thank you
guys.
so much for
Thank you so
having
much.
us.
So you glad you came on now?
What?
You glad you came on
Yes,
now?
I'm glad I
Okay.
came on.
I told you. It'll be
know,
fun. It'll be fun.
I know I'm going to be back in this remarkable store. This is
Anytime.
Really,
You're
this is
welcome.
really
We'll do it again.
Yep,
Really.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll have more to talk about at that time.
Thank you
Yeah.
for keeping it all alive.
Thank you so much
You're-
for everything that you do.
Yeah.
You're very
Thank
welcome.
y'all for keeping it alive.
Yeah. And thanks for joining us on Hamilton Happy Hour. We really
Absolutely.
appreciate it. And you can follow us on Facebook, YouTube. Send the links to all your friends.
We'll
family.
share this on our links.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
on our webpage. And everything.
And again, the competition
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
is
So it's the Palm Springs International Piano Competition. We're about 3 months out. We're going to be in April. And the Elmar Oliveira International Violin Competition
Is January 4th to the 18th, 2026.
Okay.
So we still have a little more time.
Yep. So, but for now, this is coming up, and we will share that. Send it to us, and we'll get it out there. And
Great.
Put the link on our site.
yeah,
Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you
us.
so
you're
much.
very welcome.
Thank you for
Thank you,
coming.
guys.
Great
We
to see you guys.
appreciate it. Thanks.